Modern corporate environments are engineered for collaboration. Open floor plans, transparent glass walls, communal tables. Yet within these carefully designed spaces, workers often operate in complete isolation. Standard industry consensus positions psychological safety as a performance optimization tool. Organizations treat it as a metric to track or a team norm to enforce in order to protect the bottom line. When a team lacks this safety, the corporate reflex is to implement training programs. These initiatives coach individuals to speak up, placing the responsibility on employees to find more bravery during meetings. Individualistic models ignore the structural forces that dictate exactly why people calculate that silence is their safest option. Psychological safety is shaped by structural power. A standard org chart's neutral lines shift into steep cliffs and deep valleys. This uneven terrain represents a power gradient, creating sharp vertical drops between management and marginalized team members. The steepness of this gradient dictates the true cost of speaking up. For those at the top of the gradient, the risk of offering a dissenting opinion is negligible. For those at the bottom, who lack institutional safety nets, the cost of that exact same action is exponentially higher. Addressing psychological safety as a communication skill without engaging with these power structures only serves to protect those who are already safe. Employee silence is typically a highly rational assessment of risk. This risk calculation is finalized long before the individual enters the room. It is shaped by socioeconomic background, cultural norms, and prior experiences of punishment. Power distorts information within an organization because it determines who bears the consequences of a mistake. This scatter plot illustrates how organizations typically measure psychological safety through average team scores, summarized by a thick trend line. Average scores hide the outliers. This measurement obscures the single individual located at the absolute bottom of the chart, the person most in need of attention. Consider a bridge that 10 people attempt to cross. 9 cross safely, but 1 falls through a structural gap in the floorboards. A bridge with a 90% survival rate is an unsafe bridge. Likewise, a team with a high average score is unsafe if even one person faces extreme professional risk when voicing an idea. The individuals who report feeling the least safe are almost always those who carry the highest baseline cost of speaking up. Relying on aggregate metrics to assess safety reproduces existing inequalities by rendering the most vulnerable members of an organization statistically invisible. The immediate aftermath of speaking up serves as the environment's defining variable. Exhorting employees to share their ideas fails when the environment reacts to those ideas with hostility. This network map models the observer effect. A low-power node speaks up, sending a signal to a central, high-power leader. Every response from leadership serves as public data for the rest of the group. A negative reaction radiates outward. Observers use this data point to calculate their own future risk, thickening the barriers around their own willingness to contribute. Psychological safety is built through consistent, repeated demonstrations of response. These demonstrations carry more weight than any formal policy announcement. This data-driven reality addresses a frequent corporate pushback, the claim that a team can have too much psychological safety, leading to a lack of accountability. High psychological safety and high accountability reinforce each other. A safe team allows for productive conflict. Diverging views can exist without the individual fearing institutional retaliation. The argument against too much safety is a calculation of suppression. It indicates which voices we are comfortable silencing. Psychological safety manifests differently for everyone across a team. Traditional office filters demand a specific, standardized expression of confidence, verbal fluency, immediate responses, and sustained eye contact. This assumption of a single correct expression silences neurodivergent individuals, non-native speakers, and those from differing cultural backgrounds. Accommodating the entire team requires a multimodal, adaptive interface that accepts unique inputs. Voice includes written notes, delayed formulation of thoughts, speaking through an advocate, or contributing without eye contact. Accommodating this heterogeneity requires shifting from individualistic coaching to ecological thinking. We must support the individuals currently navigating the system, while simultaneously changing the external conditions that make navigating it so costly. Leaders carry extra weight due to the power gradients they control, but ecological responsibility is held collectively by every member of the group. Forcing marginalized individuals to adopt dominant communication norms functions as a demand for assimilation, undermining the very safety it claims to build. Psychological safety is an ongoing environment, rather than a final destination or a program to complete. Looking back at our topographic map, we see the reality of group dynamics. Pressure, mistakes, and the friction of human collaboration inevitably crack the terrain. Resilient organizations prioritize noticing, acknowledging, and actively repairing damage when it occurs. Repairing a rupture creates a new state. The resulting structure settles into a flatter, more robust topography than what existed before. Teams that successfully execute this repair process often emerge significantly more resilient than those that have never been tested. This cycle requires constant work, examining personal assumptions, sitting with discomfort, and receiving difficult feedback. Because the risks of speaking up fall most heavily on those with the least institutional protection, psychological safety functions as a matter of equity. Protecting the right to be heard regardless of status makes psychological safety a moral obligation to the individual, independent of the performance benefits it provides to the organization. We must look past the question of whether we have achieved psychological safety. The work is found in a different question. What are we doing, right now, to sustain or undermine the conditions for voice?